let's make a hand-bound journal. What you'll need is a pile of standard size paper, needle and thread, glue, and a material for your cover. And first we make the pages. We make the pages by tearing or cutting our paper to the desired size, but remember the sheets will be folded. I tear my paper, but you can cut them with scissors. And we're going to make piles. I usually make my piles of 4 because I think that works pretty well. So I'll make 8 piles of 4 sheets and I'll fold them together. And these small booklets are called signatures. And these signatures are what we'll sew together. So again, I end up with 8 piles of 4 pages folded. And now it's time to actually put the book together, and we start by making holes in each of the signatures. We begin that process by making a bookbinding hole guide. I use a fork to evenly space my holes, but you can just eyeball it, or you can measure and pencil mark your holes. And for this particular book, I'm making 4 holes at the bottom and 4 holes at the top. And when they're sewn together, there will be a gap between those little sewing spots, between the bindings. I just like how this looks. You can also go all the way down and make it just a straight bound down the spine. I label my bookbinding guide. To make the holes, you put your guide into the center of your signature, your first signature. You open it up, make sure it's even along that spine. And since the holes are already in that guide, you go up and poke a hole through that guide hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, space 1, 2, 3, 4 is how I'm doing it. I like to use an awl. Our friend Dustin made me this one a long time ago. You can use anything sharp. I used to use just that fork, but it didn't do as good of a job as the awl does. So we have our first signature done, all the holes, and now we continue with the next 7. And once our pile grows and we have as many signatures as we want, then we're ready to sew them together. I've started using these curved needles. I really think it makes bookbinding easier, but you can use a standard needle. I use linen thread because I like it, but you can use any thread. And we begin by sewing from the inside at the bottom. Draw your thread up through the bottom, towards you, through the bottom hole, down again through the next hole. We'll go up through the third, and down through the fourth. And remember, we're doing it in groups of 4. So now we're going to finish this part. We'll go up again through that same third hole, down through the second hole, up through that first hole, and we'll be ready to put on our second signature. So to join your second signature to the first, you line up the holes of the 2 signatures, and you will draw your needle down through that bottom hole and pull tightly so the 2 signatures come close together and are as tight as you can get them. Mine typically end up kind of loosening. It's a handmade piece, so it will have some quirks like that. You'll go up through the second hole, and now here is where it changes. You're going to draw your needle through the already sewn line of thread on either side. Oops, I got it stuck. On either side of that hole, that second hole, not the first, but the second. So you've kind of hooked in that stitch. And then you'll go down through that same hole, that second hole again, all the way down. And then you'll go up through the third hole, draw your needle up, and you'll do that kind of hooking of the thread from the first signature. This is the only time, only joining the first and second signatures is when we do it like this. This is a pretty unique part of making the book. So we'll go down again and then up through the fourth and hooking again. And now, instead of going back down, we will join our third signature. And now is where the stitches change, and this is how you'll do it from now on when you join signatures. You can join as many as you want. So you go down through, now we're at the fourth hole, down through the fourth hole, pull tight, up through the third hole then. I'm sorry, it's a little hard to see. I got a little out of the frame here. Up through the third hole. And now there will be kind of a little V-shaped stitch. And that is what you will hook with your needle. And this is where having a round needle really helps, because you can just swoop it through. You pull that tight, and now you're connected. You will go down through that same hole that you just came out of. And down and tighten. And then you'll go up through the second hole. You'll use the same technique. You'll hook that little stitch, that little kind of V-ish shaped stitch. And then you'll go down again. This is the actual bookbinding. This stitch style is called Kettle Stitch. And if you'd like more information on Kettle Stitch, I just learned from another YouTube channel how to do this. We're going up through the bottom, that first hole. And we will hook it through the stitch, but then instead of just going back through, we will add our fourth signature now. And from here on out, the technique is the same. So you can rewind and watch that technique again. Do it the same way on the other side with the other 4 holes, and until you have all of your signatures together. You just tie a knot, you just tie it off, and you should have a little booklet. Now you can stop here. This is a fine little booklet. This one is one I did with a waxed linen orange yarn that I liked. Okay, but if you want to move on, you want to make a cover. I use cardstock for my cover, but you can just use paper. You can use bookboard, which I find a little hard to cut. I use an X-Acto knife. I'm just not very good at it. So I typically use a softer cardstock for my cover. And you measure it just to be a little bit bigger than the book that you just made. Just a little bit bigger. And you'll make your cover by putting your cover material down and cutting it to the size and gluing it on. It's very simple. I use a quilter's corner because I'm a quilter, which is where you fold the corner in and fold the edges over that corner. I think I should have slowed it down in this video to show you that. But you can really make it, any way you feel comfortable making a corner. I know there are lots of different ways to make corners. To put the cover on the book, you'll put, I put a piece of paper between the rest of the book and the outside page so that the glue doesn't get all over the rest of the book. I use this brush that has really changed my life, but I used to use just a paintbrush. You don't really have to use anything at all to spread the glue, but I prefer to. I think it makes it more even and less gloppy, and it doesn't come through the cover. You'll just place your cover right on that glue and press down real hard. Now you don't have to make a whole separate cover. You can just put fabric. I used linen fabric here. You can put fabric, cotton fabric. I typically use recycled clothes for a lot of my covers. You can just glue it to the first sheet of paper of the booklet. You don't have to make a whole cover piece. I think it's a little more sturdy making a cover piece. So here we are. We have made our book. And that's it.